All right. It is 5:12 p.m. You are tuned into LocalMotion here on 91.3 WVKR, Independent Radio, Poughkeepsie, New York. Show number 300 for me on these airwaves today, and got very special guests. Let's get them on the line right now. Ellen T., are you there?
Hi, Rita.
Here.
Hello. You know me. I always like to start off with a brief introduction. So let me just get that out of the way before we start conversing. I'll start off by saying multi-instrumentalist, singer, songwriter, producer Larry Campbell and singer, guitarist, songwriter Teresa Williams have worked with countless musicians. Larry played with Bob Dylan for 8 years. He was awarded a Lifetime Achievement Award from the Americana Music Association, and he's won 3 Grammy Awards for his work with Levon Helm, with whom he and Teresa played the legendary Midnight Ramble concerts with. Last year, a 10-part episode series about their lives was released titled It Was the Music, which also includes a soundtrack to the series. They'll be performing at the Capitol Theater in Port Chester, New York, next Friday, December 17, and then again there on January 28th with David Bromberg. And with that, a warm welcome back to LocalMotion on our 300th episode, Larry and Teresa. Thank you.
Congratulations. Yeah. Congratulations.
Well, you know,
a beautiful show.
Thank you. And you guys were an instrumental part of that, because I remember years before I had this show, Larry, talking to you about it a couple times after shows. I'm like, I got this idea and there's such talent here in the Hudson Valley. I want to do this show. And I'll never forget your words. They'll go down to the end of my time here on this planet. And you said to me, Rita, when you get that show, and you never used the word if, you said, when you get that show, you let me know, and we'll be your first guests. And you guys,
yeah, that's right.
You guys held true to your word. And for that, I thank you. I was never so nervous in my life as preparing for that first show with you guys. And I tell people now that once I did that first interview with you guys, I could talk to anybody on the planet, because you guys are the top of the top. So thank you for being here for show number 1, showing up for many others in between, and being here today. So you guys are just mean the world to so many of us. Thank you for that.
Anytime, Rita. Anytime at all.
Yeah, well,
all you got to do is call.
Aw, you're awesome. And that's kind of the way it works. So I hit you guys up every once in a while, and it seems like December is our time. So it's really cool. We've talked a few times. I know you guys' career. So I always like to try to make it a little different every time we talk. And I think a big part of last year for me with you guys was this It Was the Music, which of course really incorporated a whole bunch of stuff. But I read another interview that you guys did recently, Teresa, where you said at a very early age, singing was your calling. And I knew you always sang in church, but you started at the age of 4?
Yeah. Well, that's my parents. That's because I had music in the home, and they, my mother was a pianist at church, or one of them, and we just had music at home all the time. She was practicing piano on the wall next to my bedroom with a course that a mail order course that she was teaching herself. She'd had a few piano lessons, but not a lot. And so she was teaching herself with this music course, which happened to be a good one. I wish I could remember the name of it. And so she was studying, I guess that was classical, but she was playing like country gospel at church. And then Daddy was playing guitar by ear, playing Hank Williams and Jimmy Rogers and Johnny Cash, Elderly Brothers, that kind of stuff in the living room at night, and we would all do harmony. And so, I can't take credit for it. It just was in the household, and how fortunate am I that I joke and say I wouldn't have even had to go to college because I'm basically doing what they taught me in the living room.
Yeah.
So I'm just really lucky. I wish all kids had that. Even if they're not going to be professional, it's just such an inner resource. Like if you're upset, you're angry, you're happy, it would just be plop down and play something on the piano and work it out of your system. You know?
Yeah. It's a good release, music. It's a great release. And I also understand.
And as I'm very bad to harp on this, but it also apparently, per science, wires up a kid's brain for better learning. You know, if you start really early. I didn't work on me, but
I wouldn't say that, my dear. I wouldn't say that. And then I also understand, Teresa, that your dad bought you a guitar for Christmas when you were like 10 or 11. That's another great thing, not just the singing, but then you incorporated your instrument.
Yeah, I've been having to play on learn on his guitar, and he had like my uncle's old guitar here, but it was really hard to play. And yeah, he got me a little guitar around it. That and my typewriter were my biggest Christmas presents ever.
Oh, that's so sweet. Well, Larry, you better come up with something, boy. You got a couple of weeks there to figure out something.
It's always a challenge, Rita. It's always a challenge.
A couple of weeks. And you, Larry, are the polar opposite. While Teresa grew up on a seventh-generation cotton farm in Tennessee, you grew up in New York City.
Yeah, streets of New York. That's right.
Oh,
yeah.
man.
Couldn't be more opposite, right?
Couldn't be more opposite. And Larry, I understand that your moment where you said, okay, this is it. You tell me what that moment was when you knew.
Well, it was really the big bang. I always say it's true for so many people.
Oh. You guys are breaking up a little bit.
Yeah, I heard that.
Are you good?
Okay, now you are. Now you're back.
I always say the big bang for me, and it was for so many people of my generation, was February 9th, 1964. The Beatles on the Ed Sullivan Show was literally the big bang because it was... it was explosive. The next day, the world was a different place. Yeah. I mean, that's really not an overstatement because it was people. I was young, I was 8 or 9 years old, and but from my age up till kids in their 20s, this was suddenly we had our music. We had our vehicle of self-expression, and I got so wrapped up in these guys and what they were doing, and then voraciously hunted down everything that was ancillary to who they were. Where like I would see on a Beatles record, there's a song by Chuck Berry, and I'm thinking, who's this guy, Chuck Berry? So then I went and found out who Chuck Berry was, and that opened up that whole world. And from him to the blues guys before him, and it was just walking down all these roads that, if I'm calling the Beatles appearance the Big Bang, it's like all these other stars and planets materialized from that for me, and I like Buck Owens. They did a Buck Owens song, and that they did that naturally. And then I said, who's this guy? And then I started buying Buck Owens records, and got way down deep into the country thing, and the late '60s. The second half of the '60s was such a fertile time for music. There was, it was just creative and so many different styles of music on the radio and on AM radio, top 40 radio, and from the San Francisco psychedelic thing to George Jones, The Race Is On, it was if you had an appetite for that, which I had an insatiable appetite for any kind of music. It was a whole world to explore, and And I quickly found out, to sort of segue into Teresa here, that what attracted me most was the music that was American music from below the Mason-Dixon line. You know, the music that came out of the South, and
so thanks to the Brits for leading Larry back down my road.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that's pretty well true. Yeah.
And Larry, Larry, I heard you say that you wanted to play with either the Beatles, the Rolling Stones, or Bob Dylan.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's true. To me, there was sort of like a triumvirate of music royalty, you know, well, the Beatles were broken up and they didn't need me. The Stones didn't need me, but then all of a sudden I get to play with Bob Dylan. You know? It's pretty cool.
Yeah, it is pretty cool. It is pretty cool how all that happened. And
aren't you on a Keith Richards record though, Larry?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I have made music with Keith. Yeah.
Didn't Paul McCartney call you once, but you were out with Bob or something?
Right, I got. I did. I regret this to this day. I got a call from Arif Martin, the producer, that to come and play acoustic guitar on a Paul McCartney track that he was recording.
Oh my gosh!
It was right after Linda had died, and he was recording a song for her. And but I was getting on a plane to go on tour with Bob, and oh God, I was so bummed. You know,
that's a tough one.
You know.
Yeah. That's a tough one. And by the way, we speak today on December 8th, which is the day that John Lennon passed away.
That's right. Yes.
And everybody knows it's like one of those things that in your lifetime, you know where you were today, back 40 years ago. Yeah.
Yeah, I was playing at the Lone Star Cafe that night with Buddy Miller, and we were opening for Etta James.
Whoa!
And she burst into tears on stage, you know, when she got the news.
It was tough. The world just like, again, it stopped just for a while, just like, what the heck?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Teresa, do you remember where you were?
I don't remember where I was. I just remember the feeling.
Mm-hmm.
Just like you said, it's like the world stopped.
Yeah. Yep. And then, Teresa, I heard you say in an interview, that's how we found each other in the middle of Manhattan. It's like finding a needle in a haystack. And as unexpected as it sounds, it was kind of inevitable at the same time, unquote.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah. And you guys, 30, how many years now? 30, you met in the mid-'80s. It's like 35 years? Yeah.
We met in 86. Yeah, so it's 35 years since we met. But
started dating a year later, and we're married a year later.
Oh, man. Beautiful. And together and enjoying life and making some beautiful music along the way. You really are. I know you laugh, but you guys are, you know, how nice that you got to finally play together, because for so long you couldn't, because Larry was on an airplane somewhere all the time, right? With Dylan and all that. And then you got this great call with Levon, and whoa, you know, your lives have changed.
Yeah, it's been pretty much ever since Levon. So that was 2005 when we started doing this thing with Levon, and that's pretty much since then. Everything we do performance-wise, we do together. You know, with either our own thing or with Phil Lesh or with the guys from Little Feat or
Yorma
or Bromberg or Yorma, and you know, it's a really satisfying. Yeah, it sure has.
Yeah. Before that, we were married, but people thought we were dating because we were always going our separate ways. I'd be down south working on play or something, and
right, because music wasn't first for you, right? Teresa, you were coming to New York to be into theater.
Well, I took the music for granted because, like I said, growing up in it, you know, and I think I didn't think I had the personality for the music business. I still don't think I have the personality for it. It's one thing to get up and sing, but work in the business around getting somebody to let you get up and sing is like, that's its own, So I don't know. I loved acting from a little kid, just from doing the church play at Christmas. I'm kidding. That's all we had.
Yeah.
That's all we had. But I don't know why. It was like I dropped in a pod from Mars. Nobody here understood why I should want to be an actor. And I went to school for that. I still really deeply love the craft of acting, separate from music, But being able to sing, also, there's a lot more work for singers in theater. So I would, because I can sing, I would get cast doing like even Southern things, the Southern Writers Project things, regional things where I would be like the mountain woman and sing. Like I played Sarah Carter from the original Carter family. That was one I was doing just before that ended, just before we got called up to Levon's. And that was a labor of love, believe me, to play that character. But so it was that was mountain music. A lot of times it would be like mountain music, and so not per se carousel or something like that, but still in the ilk of what Larry and I do, oddly.
Right.
I wanted to go to New York and play Shakespeare, and little did I know I would end up doing what my parents taught me in the living room, like I said before. Yeah.
It's a full circle, right?
It's like Providence that Larry and I, like you said, needle in a haystack in Manhattan, but also inevitable that we would find each other because of our interests being what they were.
Right, with the same musical style and taste and all of that, and you've played...
that's the glue that keeps us together. Like we see music very, very much the same way.
Yeah,
and if there's a group that one of us likes, the other one doesn't, we at least understand what the other one
likes about it. Right.
Yeah.
And Larry, what are you working on? You're doing a lot of producing too. You've produced so much.
I have been. Yeah. Well, Teresa's been. Because of this whole COVID shutdown last year, and then where nobody was out performing, and the fact that Teresa's had to be in Tennessee most of the time because of her dad's Alzheimer's. She's trying to help as much as she can down there.
Yeah, good for you.
That's left me with time to do my other thing, which is produce. And I just finished a record for this wonderful German artist. His name's Marius Westenhagen.
Say that again?
Marius Westenhagen.
Okay.
Pardon my German attempt at a German accent there. Who is literally, he's the Bruce Springsteen of the German-speaking countries. He sings in German, and he's been a pop star there for decades, but he's a really, really good musician. Really.
Did you go to Germany to produce him, or was that?
He's been.
Yeah, he's also an actor. Yeah. And no, we did it here. I've done 2 records with him. The most recent one we did with Jack Daly, who plays with Lenny Kravitz, and
wow.
Steven Van Zandt has a studio in Asbury Park, and we did it down there in that studio. And
oh, nice! I'm going to check that out. Marius Westenhagen.
Yeah. He's just he really understands. He really understands rock and roll. He really. His sensibilities are very American, authentic, and then he sings in German, and that was it was a little difficult for me because I can't, when you read the translation from German, they're kind of just words and they don't flow as poetry, whereas whereas in German, it is,
Right.
it has its own syntax, and so it was kind of hard for me to, I had to just think about the subject matter, very often when you're producing a record, the lyrics, the poetry inspires your approach to that song, and, that I had to sort of manufacture that a little bit, but it worked. It all worked. Really
It all
well.
worked, yeah. Well, I grew up in Germany, so I'm sure my family over there has heard of him. So I'm really, honestly, going to check this guy out.
I did not.
I had no idea.
Yeah, I speak fluent German, and
kidding.
anytime you need help, Larry, just send me a text, and I'll be happy to translate a word. But I totally know what you're talking about, because if you're reading something or saying something in German, that translation doesn't make sense sometimes, And
Right.
yeah,
Right.
yeah. So no, I totally get that.
Well, Marius he's apparently the highest selling artist ever in German speaking.
Oh my God. Okay,
and he's just hysterically funny. And
that's great. Yeah, no, I'll
Dapper
text my family after we're done talking, and they'll be like, "What?" So how did he find you, or how did you guys find each other?
Let's see, probably more than 10 years ago, I think it was. He came here to do a record back then, and had known about me through the grapevine, I suppose, and asked if I would just come and play on this record, which we did in Brooklyn, and that's where I first met him, and we really connected musically, and then he's listened to and my production work since then, and asked if I'd be interested in producing a couple of records for him, and I said, of course.
Absolutely.
And we got it done. The first one we did, which was 2 years ago, was at Dreamland up there in Woodstock.
Oh, yeah.
The Dreamland, yeah.
Yep.
And
Jerry Murata's place.
That's right. Yeah.
Oh, cool. And who else have you been producing during this COVID time? And by the way, last time you were on, it's been a while, but you came down with COVID.
I sure did. Yeah, actually, it was. So I got COVID in. It was right at the beginning of March of 20, and it was. I don't want to belabor this, but it was the worst thing I've ever been through, and I'm lucky I made it out, and right now, I mean, maybe you can hear it in my voice, but I just got the booster shot yesterday, and both vaccinations and the booster shot have really knocked me down.
Kicked your ass.
But I want to say, for people who are afraid to get vaxxed or boosted, we think it's because he had such a bad case of COVID. Apparently, that's what happens. If you had a bad case, it can hit you harder than my 86-year-old parents had the vax and boost, and it hardly phased them or me.
Right,
so
right.
I don't want to scare anybody about it.
No, that's right, it's an illusion. The sickness is an illusion. It feels real. The reaction to these vaccines, it feels real. But it's your body just doing what it does because it remembers this virus.
Yes.
And it's it's going through the motions of trying to fight it, even though it's not there. So I'm feeling better already. It was really 24 hours of hell, and now I'm good.
Thank God.
And
I remember Teresa's updates on Facebook, and it we were all just. Everybody that knows you, I mean, you saw it got tens and tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of views, but everybody was always awaiting Teresa's updates. And when I think she finally said he's okay, I mean, we all just, what a sigh of relief. And Teresa, you, of course, couldn't be with him during this time.
Yeah, I had to quarantine where I was because we weren't. I was in the city and he was upstate, but I had been exposed to him briefly, and fortunately I didn't have it. But I wanted to break protocol and go up to him because it just felt really, really wrong to not be with him. But at the same time, if we were both down, who was going to call the ambulance?
Right.
So,
right. And
it
Teresa,
wasn't going to help for. I was doing the stuff for the nurse would call to get his vitals and that, so I was the one sending the information to them.
Right. And it almost came to the point of, I remember you guys saying here on the show that Larry, your cousin or something, was a nurse, and you almost had to call the ambulance.
Yeah.
And then you found out it cost
ambulance.
But then it cost $3,000 and Larry's fever broke.
Yeah.
That's exactly what happened. Yeah. That's exactly what happened.
That is exactly right. His body said, "What? It's over."
I'm good now. Never mind. Oh God!
Yeah.
Oh, we laugh now, but boy, it was a scary time for you. And boy, we're so happy, Larry, that you just you came out of this thing. So we're glad for that. That's for sure. And you also put some great shows together while you were stuck at home. What was that? That computer?
Yes, he did.
Yeah.
He was recording, playing every instrument under the sun and recording them for a one-man band thing he would put online. It was great, Larry.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And since then,
actually, what happened was after I was sick, or while I was sick, I just felt like I was never going to play again or never sing again. It just felt like I had lost this ability, because I couldn't pick up an instrument while I was sick. So once I started feeling better, I just got, I kind of obsessed with regaining my musicianship, and I would just spend all day playing an instrument, or a couple of instruments, and just I had to prove to myself that I could get back to where I was, and so I started doing these. There's an app called the Acapella app, which allows you to film yourself in different. You can combine 8 different tracks of yourself playing 8 different instruments.
So cool.
So I got a hold of this thing and did a few videos with that. Just basically, it's just to prove to myself that I could still do it.
That you could do it. Yeah. Well, you're back in full force, my friends. That's for sure. For sure. You've played a couple of great shows, even just recently, right? Last week with the Midnight Ramble Band and Hot Tuna at the Egg.
Yeah. Oh, it was great. It was so much fun. Yeah. To play with that band again, and we did 2 shows. One at the Egg and one at Jim Thorpe in Pennsylvania, and
then we did Bromberg Saturday night
at the Egg again. Yeah, with Bromberg. We were, it's Bromberg's belated birthday celebration from when everything got shut down. So this was. David's band, and then he had some guests, which were Teresa and I, and Jimmy Vivino, and John Sebastian, and Andy Falco.
Oh, so good. I just saw Sebastian and Vivino at Bearsville the night before you guys played with them.
Go to that? With Paul and Annie.
Yeah, Paul and Annie. Cindy Cashdollar was there. It was just amazing. Yeah, good stuff. And then next week, you guys, Capitol Sessions happening on the 17th of December at the Capitol Theater.
Yeah, this is Greg Williamson, the man who is behind Love Rocks, which is a charity that we've been doing a performance for every year at the Beacon Theater. Which is actually when my COVID experience started 2 years ago. That's a whole story. But I think it was last year was the 5th year we've been doing it. Well, anyway, Greg puts on this great show at the Beacon, and he asked if I would be interested in doing a show at the Capitol that looks back. That's sort of a tribute to all the great music that was made there in the heyday of the Capitol Theater in the 70s, before it shut down, and then Peter Shapiro opened it up again, and I said, well, let me think about it. Okay, good. And we got with Jackson Brow's going to do it with us, and Yorma and Amy and the Warren Treaty. And,
Marco Benevento, I think, too, right?
Marco Benevento, in the band with us. So I'm going to be MD with the house band, which is Marco, myself, Adam Minkoff, and Tony Leone. And we're just going to, it's a bunch of us playing songs from all the great acts that played there during that era. And Jackson and Yorma are going to be the been there, done that guys.
Man.
And, yeah, it's going to be great. It
really, really good. And if people are listening and want to go to that show, again, just to throw out the date, it's next week on Friday, December 17th at the Capitol Theater in Port Chester. And if you can't make it, I just saw your post, you guys. It's going to be live streamed.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So that's always a good thing.
Always a good thing. And then you're back at the Capitol Theater at the end of January with Bromberg's Big Band celebrating 50 years.
That's right.
You know everything.
Well, I'm trying, I got to keep up with all of this stuff. You guys are pretty busy people. Steve Earle's going to be there, Betty Lavette, John McEwen, you guys, some good stuff. And then I understand you're taking a little warm weather vacation.
Oh, you do know everything.
Yeah, we're going back to Jamaica with Little Feet.
Yeah.
So,
awesome.
Yeah, we're very much looking forward to that. Normally, it's the full Midnight Ramble band that does that, but this year it's going to be our band, Teresa and Larry. Our band, and Tommy Emmanuel's going to be there. Who what guitar player wants to get up on the stage after that guy has played?
You do, Larry. You can hold your own. You're okay with this. Come on. Oh, good. Yeah. And Little Feet now, of course, with Tony Leone on the kit and Scott Sherrard on the guitar there. So newest members.
That's right.
Yeah. Good stuff. LarryandTeresa.com. You know what I think is a great holiday gift idea? And I do this because, for people to support musicians, especially during this crazy, crazy time where people just aren't touring as much as they used to. You know what make great stocking stuffers? Your CDs. And you have you really do. And
Rita.
And no, I'm telling you, I'm serious about it. I really, really am. For people that still have CDs, that listen to CDs like me, old school, I don't even know how to do Spotify. So there's like so much good stuff, and it was the music. I think I play it probably 8 out of 10 shows because you got 15 tracks on this soundtrack, and it's amazing.
No, that is a good soundtrack. That's true. I have to agree with that one.
Yeah, all the guest artists and just really bravo to both of you for allowing Mark Moskowitz to spend time with you guys and just putting such a raw portrayal of your lives on screen. And I binge watched it because when I started, I couldn't stop. So
wow.
I got all 10.
You know a lot about us.
I know a lot about you. And you know what I thought was one of the cutest things, Larry? I never knew this. You were with the kids in the orchestra or something, and I never saw you play in an orchestral setting. And I forgot, because I watched it a while ago, but it was something about you playing with kids and getting them on an or you played in an orchestral setting. I don't remember, but
it was the kids, Larry, the kids at when they came down to City Winery, remember? And you were working with them.
Right. Diodario, the string company, was sponsoring this really great program, helping kids play music, basically, and they, Teresa and I had a gig at City Winery, and we agreed with Diodario that we would have these kids come in, and I would talk to them. Teresa and I would talk to them, and I'd show them what I could musically. It wasn't a lot of time, and I couldn't get really deep into it, but this was so inspiring to be with these kids that are just trying to learn the fiddle, and doing very well, and and you could feel the passion, that they were there because they loved to do this, and Moskowitz happened to be there with the camera and got this in the documentary, and
yeah, it was really cool. It was a great documentary, and thank you for sharing so much of yourselves during that. So it was, I can't recommend it enough if people haven't already listened to it or watched it. Listen and watch, really, because you can. It was the music, and it's on Amazon. I think it's even on YouTube or whatever. And then the soundtrack it's remarkable, just beautiful, because it was recorded at so many different locations. It wasn't like one night and it's a live show. It's most all live, but all different scenarios.
Right, and different times and different places,
yeah. So,
and we have, because of COVID, of course, that screwed everything up. We had to delay the release of a live record we did at Levon's Barn, which we were supposed to put out. We did that in the fall before COVID. Is that right, Teresa?
2019, yeah, 2019.
Yeah, and then the plan was to put it out in the early spring, just when COVID hit, and because we couldn't tour or promote it, we delayed that. And then in the meantime, this soundtrack record came out, so it didn't make sense to have two live records out at the same time. So that's the next thing that we have to get out, is this live record, because I
can't wait.
I forget about it, and then I go back to listen to it, and I think this is really good. It was a really good night there at Levon.
And Larry's even playing pedal steel on it too, a Peggy Lee tune that I'm doing, which is
oh man.
So yeah, that's going to be fun. That's going to be fun.
So you think in the spring that's going to come out?
That seems to be the target time now. Yeah,
awesome.
That seems to be it. Yeah,
awesome.
Teresa may be doing a play, or is scheduled to do a play in March and April this year. So
wow, congratulations!
Well, it's at my alma mater. It's like Old Home Week down there. A big anniversary. The Clarence Brown Theater. It's a big anniversary, and we're going to do an all alum thing. But I think the situation may be fluid with the pandemic and some stuff. So we'll see.
Right. Everything's kind of on a standstill for
Yeah, it's been booked for like 3 or 4 years, but it's with the pandemic, it's been a fluid situation.
How exciting!
Yeah, it's good. It's the and that would delay the release of this record probably till around May or June, so we could get out and promote it a little bit
in the summertime. Yeah, take a little summer tour. I want to real briefly, because I think it probably affected you guys, because it affected me. Just wanted to mention the word and the person of our beloved Tony Falco. And
thank you, Rita.
Yeah.
What a great guy! What a great heart for music he had.
Yeah.
Just he did more on the club scene for Hudson Valley musicians than anybody. He was a real champion for the music that gets played around.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. I start off every single show. He left a really cool playlist on Spotify, and I start off my show every week playing a track of his, because there was lots of music he wanted us all to hear. And he is so missed and will be missed. There'll never be another one like him. There just won't be.
No, that's the truth. Yeah.
I mean,
he was a unique at this time for somebody who really, it was, his place seemed to be all for the music, for the musicians.
Yeah,
it was.
Yeah, and he loved you guys. And
we loved him.
You brought so much good music his way. I remember you come there with Billy Payne. You brought Bromberg there, and then you guys. I do hope you guys, when we can, have you back there sometime, because that place just feels like you guys at the barn. It just feels like having you home, at the Falcon.
Right.
So,
Well, anytime. We'd love to play there again. We'll make that happen for sure.
Yeah, I hope so. So you guys, thank you so much for your time. Larry, you know what I'm going to play? One of my favorites, Rooftops. I love Blind Mary.
Oh,
that's sweet.
It's just so cool, and I got turned on to it, like seeing you guys in concert one time. I'm like, what the heck is this? And I never knew you had a solo album out. And Rooftops, it came out a while ago, right?
Yeah, well, that was I left Dylan's band in '04, at the end of '04, and got in the studio and did this record. So it came out right before we started with Levon.
It's beautiful.
I love that record. If I have to say, I love it. It's a lovely, lovely record.
I agree. And like I said, it was the music. You should see how old this thing is getting. The cover of it and stuff. I play the hell out of it here on the show. Gonna need a new copy soon. So good stuff. And you guys, just thank you. Thank you for being the people that you are, because yes, you're fantastic musicians. We all know that. You've played with the creme de la creme, but you are the top notch in the business, and there are no two finer than you two. And I mean that from the bottom of my heart. You are just menches. So
congratulations on 300, and then we'll see you at 400 and 500 and 600.
And let's keep this thing going. And Larry, I'm still using Surrender to Love.
Go ahead, Rita.
I'm doing it. It's my intro music for 300 shows now, so we're going to do it for the next 300 too.
All right, fabulous.
You guys, Larry,
love you, Rita.
Love you guys both. I look forward to seeing you, and hope to get you back to the Falcon sooner rather than later.
We will, Rita.
All right.
Thank you.
Sounds good. Take care. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye. 91.3 WVKR, Independent Radio, Poughkeepsie, New York. No two finer. Larry Campbell, Teresa Williams. You can visit their website, larryandteresa.com. And I'm serious about those holiday stocking stuffers. They have great CDs out. Any one of them, you cannot go wrong. You hear me playing them a lot. And as mentioned, I do want to go out with a track that is off of Larry's solo album, Rooftops, and it's called Blind Mary. I remember hearing this song the first time at a show. He was just standing there solo, and I just learned about this album a little bit more and really are blown away by it. Larry and Teresa will also be next Friday, December 17th at the Capitol Sessions at the Capitol Theater, and they'll be at the Capitol Theater again in Port Chester on January 28th with David Bromberg. So keep up with them on social media. They are two of the finest human beings you'll find in the music business, if not on planet Earth. So thank you, everybody, for tuning in today. Show number 300. Can't believe it. 300. Next week, I will be back, and next week I have Tony Trishka on the show. I'll be doing my final show of 2021 on December 22nd. Then I'll be off for a couple of weeks, and we will return in the new year with the first guest of the year being Cindy Cash Dollar. So we've got lots of great stuff. Thank you, everybody, for all the support and the love, and it's really meant a lot to me. This show is just... it's been a lifesaver on many different fronts, for sure. And I love doing it. I'm passionate about the music here in the Hudson Valley. I hope that by listening to this show, some of you have gone out to go see some live music. We have the most amazing venues right here. You can drive within a half hour of where you live and any night of the week see world-class music. There's lots of live streams happening too, and just keep supporting the musicians. It's a tough time for the arts right now. So if you can do Christmas gifts and you want to do stocking stuffers and t-shirts and all the merchandise that people have, really check out musicians, your favorite musicians, especially if they're local. Check out their websites and buy directly from them and support musicians and support live music. And and thank you. I'm going to go out with a track called Blind Mary by Larry Campbell. I'll be back next week. Thanks for celebrating show number 300 with me on these wonderful airwaves we call WVKR. And here's Blind Mary by Larry Campbell from his album titled Rooftops. 91.3 WVKR. I'll catch you next time. Until then, I wish you peace.